The sky above New London was never blue anymore. It was always gray, covered in smoke and dust. The world had grown tired, and so had the people. Factories had stopped, oceans had dried, and cities had turned into graveyards of steel. Eli Carter was one of the many who tried to survive. He was young but looked older than his age. His hands were always dirty, his clothes torn and his stomach often empty. Every day he searched the scrapyards outside the city, hoping to find old machine parts or wires he could sell for a few credits. People called him the junk rat, but Eli didn't care. He dreamed of one thing: leaving Earth. Somewhere beyond the broken sky, he believed, there must still be hope. One cold night, he walked deeper into the scrapyard than ever before. His small lantern flickered in the wind. The metal mountains around him looked like sleeping giants. He kicked through piles of junk, listening to the silence. But then, his old scanner started beeping. Eli frowned. "That can't be right," he whispered. The signal was strong and alive. He followed the sound, moving between twisted metal and broken ships, until he saw something strange buried half under the ground. It wasn't human-made. It was smooth, silver, and glowing faintly, like moonlight trapped in metal. He brushed off the dust and saw alien symbols on the surface. His heart started to race. He had found a crashed alien pod. For a moment he just stared, not believing his eyes. He had seen old news about aliens, stories of wars, trade, and contact. But that was long ago. Now Earth was forgotten by the stars. No one came here anymore. He placed his hand on the cold surface. Suddenly the pod hissed, releasing a faint mist. Eli stepped back in shock. Lights turned on inside, showing a small glass chamber. And there, inside the chamber, was a girl. Her skin was pale blue, her hair white as frost. She looked peaceful, almost human, but her eyes were closed and strange lines of silver light ran across her body. She was in cryosleep, frozen, asleep for who knows how long. Eli whispered, "What are you doing here?" He circled the pod and found a small screen blinking with alien text. He couldn't read it, but one line was clear, written in English, maybe a translation from old Universal Tech. "Do not wake her." Eli froze. Why not? Was she dangerous? Was she sick? Or was someone trying to keep her safe? The cold wind blew through the junk field. He looked at her again. The peaceful face, the faint rise and fall of her chest. She looked lonely. Lost. Eli had seen loneliness before. He lived with it every day. The city didn't care about people like him. The world had forgotten them all. Something deep inside him whispered, "Help her." He shook his head. "No, Eli, don't be stupid," he told himself. "This is alien tech. It could explode or worse." He turned away to leave. But then he heard it, a voice. Soft, distant, but clear. "Help me." Human. Eli stopped cold. He looked around, but there was no one there. Only the pod. He stepped closer. The alien girl's eyes were still closed, but her lips moved slightly. No sound came out, yet the words echoed in his mind again. "Please, help me." His heart pounded. "You can hear me?" He whispered, no reply. Only silence and the hum of the pod. He knelt beside it, studying the controls. Most were broken, but he found something that looked like a power switch. His fingers trembled. He could walk away, pretend none of this ever happened. Or he could take the biggest risk of his life. He thought of the people in the city. Cold, cruel, hopeless. No one would believe him if he told them. They'd sell the pod for money, maybe even kill the alien. He couldn't let that happen. Eli took a deep breath. "All right, I'll help you," he said softly. He pressed the switch. The pod hissed again, louder this time. The lights blinked fast, red warnings flashing. The ground trembled slightly and a burst of cold air hit his face. Then silence. The glass door slowly opened. Mist poured out like smoke. Eli covered his mouth as the figure inside moved, her fingers twitching, her chest rising faster. Then her eyes opened. They glowed faint silver, like stars. For a long moment, the human and the alien just stared at each other. Two strangers from different worlds, meeting in the ruins of a dying Earth. Eli whispered, "You're real." The alien girl tried to speak but could not form words. Instead, her thoughts echoed again inside his head. "Where am I? Who are you?" Eli didn't know how to answer. He only knew one thing. His life had just changed forever. He helped her step out of the pod. Her legs shook. She looked at the dead world around them with sadness. Eli said softly, "This is Earth, what's left of it." She looked at him, her glowing eyes full of confusion and fear. Then she whispered with her mind again, "I was not supposed to be here." The cold wind howled through the scrapyard. Far in the distance, thunder rolled like drums, and as Eli looked at her, this lost being from the stars, he realized something strange. For the first time in years, he didn't feel alone, but above them, high in the sky, a small red light blinked, a satellite beacon, reactivated by the alien pod. Somewhere far across the galaxy, a signal was sent. "Subject found, Sector 9, and the hunt began." The scrapyard was quiet again, but nothing felt the same. Eli stood beside the opened alien pod, still trying to understand what had just happened. The strange blue-skinned girl, the alien, was alive. Her silver eyes glowed faintly in the dark, reflecting the flicker of Eli's lantern. She was weak, trembling, and confused. Her body was wrapped in a smooth silver suit that shimmered softly like liquid metal. She looked fragile, but there was something powerful in her presence, something ancient, something not from this broken world. Eli spoke first, his voice low. You can understand me?" She tilted her head slightly. Her lips did not move, but words appeared inside Eli's mind, soft and clear like a whisper carried by the wind. "I hear your thoughts. Your language is strange, but I can feel your meaning." Eli blinked.
He had never heard anything like it before.
Her voice wasn't in his ears, it was in his mind. She looked around, scanning the piles of metal, the endless gray sky, and the ruined city lights far away. "This world, it is dying," her voice echoed in his thoughts. "Why did you wake me?" Eli looked down. "Because you asked me to. You said, 'Help me.'" The alien blinked, surprised. For a moment her expression softened. Then, "Thank you, human." She tried to stand but stumbled. Eli quickly caught her arm. Her skin was cold, almost like ice. "Easy," he said gently. "You're weak. You've been asleep a long time." He led her to a small shelter he had built from old metal sheets, a place where he usually hid from the cold winds. Inside there was a small heater, some tools, and a pile of blankets. The alien sat quietly, studying the objects with curiosity. "So this is your home," she said in his mind. Eli nodded, embarrassed. "Yeah, it's not much." She touched a broken radio, feeling its surface. "Your people built machines like children playing with stars," she murmured. "Once great, now forgotten." Eli didn't know whether to feel insulted or sad. "Yeah, we kind of destroyed everything." There was a long silence. The alien looked out at the dusty sky through a crack in the metal wall. "I was running," she finally said. "They chased me across light years," Eli frowned. "Who?" "My kind," she answered. "My people." Her voice grew darker, full of pain. "I refused to fight their war. They wanted power. I wanted peace. So they called me a traitor." Eli sat across from her, stunned. "So you ran away and crashed here?" She nodded slowly. "The storm pulled my ship. I thought this planet was dead," he smiled faintly. "It almost is." The alien lowered her head, her silver hair falling over her face. "Then maybe I belong here." Eli didn't know what to say. He could see the loneliness in her eyes, the same kind he saw every morning in the city's broken glass. He finally asked, "What's your name?" "Lyra," she said softly. "Of the House of Varen. Lyra," he repeated. The name felt warm, like a small flame in the cold night. He gave a small smile. "I'm Eli Carter of—" "Well, nothing." She looked at him for a moment. Then something like a faint smile appeared on her lips. "You have kindness, Eli, of nothing." Eli laughed quietly. "That's new. No one's ever said that before." As the night grew colder, Lyra closed her eyes and sat still. Her breathing slowed. Eli thought she had fallen asleep, but then a small blue light appeared above her hand. It floated in the air like a firefly, glowing softly. Eli stared in awe. "What is that?" "Memory," she whispered in his mind. "It helps me remember who I am." The light expanded, showing faint shapes, stars, planets, and ships made of silver. Eli saw visions of a massive empire in the sky, armies of alien soldiers, and a great city that floated in the clouds. Then the vision faded. Lyra looked at him, sadness in her eyes. "My home is gone. They will come for me. They always do. Eli shook his head. No one's coming here. Earth's off every map. Nobody cares about this place anymore. But as he spoke, high above the clouds, a faint red signal pulsed, the same beacon that had activated when the pod opened. Far away, across the void, ships began to turn toward Earth. Lyra didn't know it yet, but her enemies had already found her trail. By morning, Lyra was stronger. She explored Eli's small shelter, touching the old tools, staring at broken computer screens, learning about this strange human world. Eli shared a small piece of bread with her. She examined it curiously before eating. "You humans eat rocks," she said with a faint grin. Eli laughed. "It's all we can afford." For the first time in a long while, he laughed without pain. It felt strange, but good. Later, Lyra looked at him and said quietly, "Eli, I felt something when you woke me." "A connection," he looked up. "What do you mean?" "Your mind touched mine." "It shouldn't be possible. No human has ever shared thought with my kind." Eli scratched his head. "Maybe I'm just special." Lyra tilted her head, curious. "Or maybe," she said softly, "you were meant to find me." Eli smiled nervously, but before he could reply, the radio crackled to life. A voice filled the air, broken, robotic, and cold. "Unidentified life form detected. Signal trace locked. Sector 9 confirmed." Eli froze. Lyra's eyes widened in fear. "They found me," she whispered. Eli ran to the window, looking at the horizon. Strange lights flickered in the sky, moving fast, scanning the ground. "Who are they?" he asked. "Hunters," she said. "They erase what they cannot control." The air filled with a deep hum as something passed above. Silent, black, and enormous. Eli looked back at Lyra. "We have to go, now." She nodded, her eyes glowing brighter. For the first time, they were not just a poor human and a lonely alien. They were fugitives, running together against the stars. The morning sky was red, the kind of red that warned of danger. Eli stood outside his small shelter, watching strange lights flicker above the clouds. The sound was low, like thunder mixed with a hum of machines. Lyra stepped beside him, her silver eyes fixed on the sky. "They are here," she said quietly, her voice echoing in his thoughts. Eli's chest tightened. "The people who chased you?" She nodded. "The hunters. They won't stop until I am gone, and now." "They know you helped me." Eli turned sharply. "Then we need to move." He grabbed his old backpack and a handful of tools. Lyra moved weakly at first, still adjusting to the planet's gravity. But there was a new fire in her eyes, a determination that hadn't been there before. As they stepped outside, the wind carried a faint metallic scent. Above them, dark shapes moved fast. Alien drones scanning the ruins below. Beams of light swept across the ground, searching. Eli ducked behind a pile of junk. "They're scanning the area," he whispered. Lyra touched her temple. Her eyes glowed faintly. "They speak in code. I can hear their signal. They know the pod was opened." He looked around, panicking. "Then we're out of time." She placed a hand on his arm. "There's a place we can hide, an underground," Eli nodded. "The old metro tunnels. No one goes there anymore." Together they ran, through broken fences, across rusted bridges, and down cracked streets. The sky flashed as energy blasts hit the ground nearby, sending waves of dust into the air. Eli's heart pounded. He had never been this close to death before, but every time he looked at Lyra running beside him, he felt a strange courage grow stronger inside him. They reached a broken stairway leading down into the dark. Eli pulled open a rusted gate and led her underground. The tunnel smelled of rust, oil, and old rain. It was silent, almost peaceful. Only their footsteps echoed through the darkness. Lyra touched the wall, her fingers leaving faint silver marks that glowed softly, lighting their path. Eli stared. "You can do that?" She nodded. "Energy from my body. It listens to emotion," he smiled weakly. "Then you must be feeling scared." She glanced at him. "No, I feel something different." Before Eli could ask what she meant, they heard a faint mechanical whirring. He turned his lantern off. The glow from Lyra's light faded. Silence returned, until a red laser swept across the tunnel wall. Eli whispered, "They're here." A drone floated in from the far end, sleek, silent, and deadly. It scanned the tunnel with glowing red eyes. Eli grabbed a broken pipe and threw it across the tunnel. The sound echoed loudly and the drone turned, firing a blast of blue light. The explosion shook the ground. "Run!" he shouted. They ran deeper into the tunnels. Lyra reached out her hand and a pulse of silver energy shot from her palm, slamming into the drone. It sparked and crashed, burning. Eli turned to her, stunned. "You can fight?" She shook her head. "Only for a short time. My strength is not ready." They stopped at a crossroads. Eli pulled out an old map on his wrist screen. "If we keep moving east, we can reach the old launch port. There might still be ships there." Lyra's eyes widened. "You have ships?" "Old ones," Eli said. "Most don't fly anymore, but maybe we can fix one." Lyra placed a hand over his heart. "You would risk your life for me, a stranger?" He met her glowing eyes. "You're not a stranger anymore." For a moment, neither spoke. The tunnel was quiet, only the distant hum of machines above them. Then Lyra whispered, "They know where we are going." Eli frowned. "How?" She looked down. "My body still sends a faint signal." "They can track me," he thought quickly. "Then we'll use that against them." They climbed through an old service tunnel that led to a forgotten maintenance shaft. Eli worked fast, using wires and scrap metal to set a trap. He attached an old generator to the ceiling, rerouting power to create an electromagnetic pulse. "When they come, we trigger this," he said. "It'll fry their sensors, maybe buy us a few minutes." Lyra watched him work, amazed. "You are not like other humans I read about." He laughed quietly. "That's because the other ones didn't grow up in trash." Minutes later, the sound of metal footsteps echoed closer. Not one drone, but many. Eli's hand shook as he held the switch. "Ready?" he whispered. Lyra closed her eyes. "Ready?" The first drone appeared, its red eyes flashing. Eli waited, one heartbeat too con, and hit the switch. The generator screamed, releasing a wave of white light. Sparks filled the air. The drones twitched, their lights flickering. Then they fell one by one, crashing to the floor. The silence that followed was heavy and strange. Eli exhaled, shaking. It worked, but Lyra's face turned pale. "No, that signal. I called them." Eli looked at her. "What do you mean?" She pointed upward. "The hunters themselves are coming, the ship." The commander. From deep above, the ground trembled. Dust fell from the ceiling as a shadow moved across the surface, something massive. Eli ran to the tunnel exit and looked through a broken grate. His breath caught in his throat. In the sky above the ruins, a dark shape blocked out the sun. A gigantic warship, descending slowly, engines burning like fire. Lyra's voice was soft, but full of dread. "They have come for the key." Eli turned to her. "What key?" She looked into his eyes, sorrow and truth shining in her gaze. "The one inside me. The quantum key that controls entire fleets. They will burn this world to find it." Eli's mind raced. "Then we don't just have to run, we have to stop them." Lyra nodded slowly. "If we fail, they will destroy everything, including your planet." Eli gripped the metal wall, his jaw tight. "Then we fight." Lyra looked at him, this poor, dirty human from a dying world, and for the first time since she left her home, she felt something she thought she had lost forever. Hope. But above them, the alien warship opened its lower hangar. Hundreds of hunter drones poured out like a swarm of stars. The hunt had truly begun. The ground trembled as the alien warship hung above the city ruins like a dark sun. Its engines burned the clouds red. Eli had never seen anything so terrifying or so beautiful. Lyra stood beside him in the tunnel's exit, her eyes glowing faintly. "We must leave this planet," she said quietly. "If they capture me, they will take the key can and destroy your world." Eli swallowed hard. "There's one way," he said. "The old launch port." He pointed toward the east, where long ago humans had launched ships to the stars. Now it was just a graveyard of rusted rockets and forgotten dreams. Lyra looked uncertain. "Will any of them still fly?" Eli gave a small smile. "If I can fix a broken toaster, I can fix a ship." They moved through the tunnels for hours, avoiding drones and collapsed walls. The deeper they went, the more the world above sounded like thunder, explosions, engines, and screams of metal. When they finally reached the surface, the air was thick with smoke. The ruins of the launch port stretched before them, a vast field of old hangars and broken towers. Eli's heart ached. This was where his father once worked before the world ended. He remembered the stories about humans reaching for the stars, believing they could make a home out there. Now he was about to do the same. Over there, he said, pointing to a half-buried cargo shuttle. Its body was cracked, but the engine cores were intact. Lyra helped him clear the debris with strange waves of silver energy that flowed from her hands. Eli stared in awe. "You can move metal?" She nodded weakly. "Only small things. The energy inside me is fading." "Then save it," Eli said. "I'll handle the rest." Hours passed as Eli worked. He crawled inside the ship's belly, connecting old power lines and replacing broken circuits with scavenged parts. Lyra sat nearby, her pale hands pressed against the floor, sending faint pulses through the ship, like she was speaking to it. "What are you doing?" Eli asked. "Calming it," she said softly. "Machines remember fear. I am helping it forget," he smiled, then reminded how to fly. By nightfall, the ship was ready, at least enough to try. Eli climbed into the cockpit, brushing off years of dust. The control screens flickered weakly to life. "Come on, please work," he whispered. The engines coughed, then roared with light. The ground shook as power surged through the old ship. Lyra stepped beside him, gripping the side of the seat. "Are you sure about this?" He looked at her. "No, but staying here means we die," she nodded. "Then let us fly, human." Outside, the drones detected the engine's heat signature. Within seconds, dozens of them turned toward the hangar. "Eli," Lyra shouted. "They're coming!" He slammed the controls forward. The shuttle's engines flared, pushing them up into the sky. The old metal creaked and screamed, but it held together. The city fell away beneath them, a wasteland of fire and light. The warship loomed above, massive as a mountain. Lyra's voice filled his mind. "They are locking onto us!" Blue beams sliced through the air, barely missing the ship. Eli gritted his teeth and pulled the controls hard. The shuttle spun between crumbling skyscrapers, leaving trails of smoke. "Hold on," he shouted. The ship burst through the clouds, engines screaming, heading straight for space. The sky turned black, stars appearing like tiny sparks of hope. For the first time in his life, Eli saw the curve of the earth below, broken, dying, but still shining in the dark. Lyra stared at it, her voice soft in his mind. "Your world. Even in death it glows." Eli looked at her. "So do you." She turned her gaze away, but he saw the faint blush on her blue skin. The radar beeped. "They're still behind us," Eli said. Lyra closed her eyes. "Let me try something." She placed her hand on the ship's console. Silver light spread across the screens. The ship suddenly moved faster, the engines glowing brighter than before. Eli gasped. "What did you do?" "I borrowed power from the stars," she whispered. The ship darted through the upper atmosphere like a comet. But then, a shadow appeared ahead. The alien flagship blocked their path, its enormous form stretching across the stars. Eli cursed under his breath. "They're not letting us go," the ship's speakers roared with a deep, cold voice. "Lyra of Varent, surrender the key, or your companion dies." Eli looked at her. "They're bluffing." "No," Lyra said softly. "They never bluff." Before Eli could respond, a bright beam fired from the flagship, grazing their hull. The ship shook violently. Alarm screamed. Eli pulled the controls. "We can't take another hit." Lyra's eyes glowed bright silver. "Then we won't." She reached out, her body surrounded by radiant energy. The entire ship shimmered with the same silver light. For a moment, Eli felt weightless. "Lyra, what are you doing?" "Trust me," she whispered. The beam fired again, but this time it passed straight through them like light through glass. They were invisible. Eli stared in shock. "You cloaked us." Lyra's voice was weak now. "Only for a short time. It will drain me." He steadied the controls. "Then let's make it count." He turned the ship sharply, diving toward a ring of shattered asteroids orbiting Earth. The debris field swallowed them whole. The warship fired blindly, missing every shot. When they finally slipped behind the largest asteroid, Eli powered down the engines. Silence. For a moment, there was nothing but the quiet hum of the ship and their own breathing. Eli turned to her. "You saved us." Lyra's eyes fluttered. "No, Eli. You saved me. You made me believe there was still hope." He looked at her, realizing how pale she had become. "You need rest," she smiled faintly. "I only need peace." Her body shimmered once more, then went still. Resting, not gone. but in deep energy sleep. Eli looked out the window at the stars, feeling both small and infinite. For the first time, he wasn't trapped on Earth. He was out there, a poor human flying through the stars, protecting an alien who had no one left. He touched the controls and whispered, "Hang on, Lyra. We'll find a safe place. I promise." But far behind them, the flagship changed direction. Its scanners pulsed again. "Cloak detected," said the commander. "Prepare for pursuit. The chase wasn't over." It was only beginning. The stars drifted silently outside the small ship's window. Eli sat in the cockpit staring at the endless darkness. The hum of the old engines filled the air, the only sound left after hours of running. Lyra lay in the back of the cabin, resting inside a faint silver cocoon she had formed around herself. Her body shimmered with a soft glow, her breathing slow but steady. Eli had never seen anything so peaceful, and yet so fragile. He had seen hunger, pain, and death his whole life, but never something this pure. He looked down at his hands, still covered in grease and dirt. "What am I even doing?" he whispered to himself. "She's an alien fugitive, and I'm just nobody." But somewhere deep inside, he already knew the answer. He couldn't leave her. Not now. Hours later, the silver light faded. Lyra opened her eyes. "Eli?" Her voice echoed softly in his mind. "How long was I asleep?" He turned, relief washing over him. "Almost a day." "I thought you were gone." She sat up weakly. "I needed to heal. My energy was nearly gone." He handed her a small water pouch. "Here, it's all we have." She smiled faintly, taking it. "You give your last drop to someone not even human." "Why?" he shrugged. "Because it's what humans do. At least what we used to do." Lyra looked at him, studying his tired face. She could feel his thoughts, his fear, his doubt, and something else too. Something gentle. "You are strange, Eli of Earth," she said. "No greed, no anger, only care." He smiled. "Maybe I just got lucky. Maybe you did too." But the peace didn't last long. A sharp alarm suddenly blared through the cockpit. The radar flashed red, a massive signal approaching fast. Eli's heart sank. "They found us." Before he could react, the ship jolted violently. A beam of light surrounded them, a tractor field pulling them upward. Lyra gasped. "No, it's the flagship. We're caught." Eli gripped the controls, fighting the pull. The engine screamed, but the ship wouldn't move. The light grew brighter until everything outside turned white. Then, silence. When the light faded, they were no longer in space. The ship had been dragged inside a gigantic hangar, metallic walls stretching higher than mountains. Rows of alien soldiers stood waiting, their armor glowing like dark glass. Eli tried to stand, but heavy hands grabbed him, dragging him out. Lyra struggled, shouting in her language, but her energy was too weak to resist. They were thrown to the cold floor. A tall figure stepped forward, the commander of the Varan fleet. He wore black armor that shimmered with energy. His voice was deep and cold. "Lyra of Varan, you cannot run forever." Eli looked up in confusion. "Varan, that's your family name?" Lyra's eyes were full of sadness. "Yes, I am Lyra Varan, daughter of the High Sovereign." Eli froze. "You're a princess?" The commander smirked. "Was she betrayed her empire? She refused to activate the war key, the one that could end entire worlds, and now she hides behind a filthy human." He turned to Eli. "You are a fool. She will destroy you." Eli clenched his fists. "She's not the one destroying worlds. You are." The commander laughed. "You think you matter, human? You come from a dying planet crawling in the dirt. You are nothing." Eli glared back. "Maybe I am nothing, but I still know right from wrong." Lyra tried to reach for him, but guards held her down. "Leave him," she said, her voice shaking. "He's innocent. Take me, not him." The commander smiled coldly. "We will take both. The key is inside you, Lyra. We will cut it out if we must." Eli's heart pounded. "No, don't touch her." He lunged forward, punching a guard, then another, but they were too strong. One blow to his chest sent him crashing to the floor. Lyra screamed, but no sound came, only a silent cry in his mind. Blood ran down Eli's lip. He struggled to breathe, but he looked up and met Lyra's eyes. Something inside him snapped. Not anger, but pure, burning defiance. He forced himself to his knees. "You think humans are weak," he said, his voice hoarse. "But we don't give up. Not for those we care about." The commander frowned. You care for her? Eli looked at Lyra, his chest rising with pain. More than I've ever cared for anything. For a brief second, even Lyra's breath stopped. The commander turned to her, disgusted. You disgrace your bloodline. Falling for a primitive. Lyra's eyes glowed fiercely. He has more heart than your entire empire. The commander raised his weapon. Then you both die together. But before he could fire, Lyra's body burst into light. Her energy exploded outward, cracking the floor. Guards were thrown into the walls. Eli shielded his eyes. Lyra, stop. You'll kill yourself. I won't let them take you. Her voice screamed inside his mind. The entire hangar shook. Consoles sparked and alarms wailed. Lyra's body floated above the ground, surrounded by a storm of silver fire. The commander shouted orders, but it was too late. Lyra opened her hands and the energy surged outward, straight into the ship's reactor. A blinding explosion tore through the hangar. The sound vanished. The light swallowed everything. Eli felt himself lifted, spinning in weightless silence. He reached out and his fingers brushing hers. Before the world turned to white, then nothing. When the light faded, there was no ship, no soldiers, no commander. Only a shattered field of drifting debris in space. And floating among it, a single human body, unconscious, spinning slowly. Eli Carter, the poor human from Earth, was alone once more. Far away, through the static of space, a faint signal whispered, Eli, I am sorry. Then it was gone. Silence. That was the first thing Eli felt when he opened his eyes. No engines, no voices, only the quiet whisper of wind against metal. He blinked slowly. His vision was blurred, his body heavy. The world around him was gray, a wasteland of dust and shattered rock. Above him stretched a black sky filled with stars, bright and cold. He was alive, but he didn't know where. As his mind cleared, he realized he was lying beside the broken half of his ship, the same cargo shuttle he and Lyra had escaped in. Its hull was cracked, the engines torn apart, wires floating like dead vines. Eli tried to stand, but pain shot through his chest. He gasped and fell back to his knees. His suit was ripped, his oxygen low, his hands shaking. And Lyra, she was gone. Lyra, he shouted weakly, his voice echoing into the emptiness. Lyra, where are you? No answer. Only the lonely wind across the barren surface. He looked around. The horizon stretched endlessly, nothing but gray dust and distant craters. A dead moon orbiting some unknown planet. He sat back against the broken hull and closed his eyes. Maybe this is it, he thought. Maybe this is how it ends. But then, a faint sound crackled through the ship's ruined radio. Eli, can you hear me? His heart jumped. He scrambled to the console, twisting knobs and hitting switches. The voice was faint, broken, but it was hers. Lyra? He whispered. Eli, I'm alive, came the weak reply, scattered with static. I'm trapped. Inside the wormhole field. The explosion pulled me in. Eli's eyes widened. Where are you? I'll find you. You can't. Her voice trembled. The field is unstable. Time, space. It's collapsing. He slammed his fist on the console. I don't care. I'm not leaving you. The radio hissed again. Eli, you can't come through. It will kill you. He looked at the wreckage around him, then at the small, glowing device sitting near the control seat. A small metallic sphere with alien symbols. The quantum key. Lyra had said it could open or destroy star systems. Maybe it could do one more thing. He picked it up carefully. It felt warm, pulsing faintly with silver light. Lyra, he said softly, I think I found your key. Her voice returned, fading in and out. That key holds power beyond life. If you use it without control, it will consume you. Eli smiled sadly. Then it sounds perfect. He dragged himself to the ship's core and opened a maintenance panel. Wires sparked and hissed as he connected the key directly to the reactor. The console flickered to life, warning lights glowing red. Eli, what are you doing? I'm coming to get you, he said. You said the wormhole is collapsing. That means there's still time. No. You'll die. Eli laughed softly, tears mixing with dust on his face. Lyra, I already died once, on Earth. This time I'll live for something. The reactor began to hum. The air around him shimmered with silver energy. The key floated from his hand, spinning slowly as light filled the cabin. Lyra's voice grew louder, panicked. Please don't. You don't understand what it will take. He closed his eyes. I understand enough. I promised I'd protect you. The ship trembled. The ground cracked. A bright ring of light formed above the wreck, a growing hole in space itself. Through it, Eli saw glimpses, flashes of color, stars bending, a figure trapped within swirling energy. Lyra. Her face was pale, her hair glowing white, her hands reaching out from the storm. Eli, stop! But he didn't stop. He pushed the final lever, sending his own life force into the key. The lights flared brighter. His body shook violently, but he held on. Come on, he shouted. Come back to me. The wormhole pulsed. A shockwave tore across the moon, lifting rocks into the air. Silver energy burst through his veins, burning like fire. For a moment, he saw everything, the stars, her memories, her pain, her loneliness. All of it flooding into him, he whispered, You're not alone anymore. Then, the world exploded in light, silence again, but this time, it was peaceful. Eli floated in darkness, surrounded by tiny lights like fireflies. His body felt weightless. He tried to move but couldn't. A soft voice came from somewhere close. You foolish human. You gave me everything, he smiled faintly. You're safe? Yes, she whispered. You pulled me out, but you... Her voice broke. You didn't survive. Eli opened his eyes. He saw her there, glowing, beautiful, reaching for him. I'm okay, he said softly. You're all that matters. No, she said, tears shining like stars. You matter too. She placed her hand over his heart. Silver light flowed between them, warm and bright. You gave me your life, she whispered. But I will not let it end here. The light grew stronger, wrapping around him like gentle fire. He tried to speak, but everything faded. Her voice, the light, even the stars. The last thing he heard was her whisper. Sleep, Eli. When the stars remember love, they will bring you back. Years later, that same moon floated silently in space. The wrecked ship lay still, cold, lifeless. Then, one night, a small light blinked inside the cockpit. The quantum key is still glowing softly, and in its reflection a heartbeat returned. Eli Carter was not done yet. The moon hung silent above a silver planet, cold and endless. For years nothing had moved there. No wind, no light, no voice. Only dust and the broken remains of an old human ship. Inside that wreck, hidden beneath layers of metal and time, something began to glow. The quantum key pulsed again. A heartbeat. 1, 2, 3. Then the sound of air. A breath drawn after a long sleep. Eli Carter opened his eyes. At first, everything was white. His chest ached, his head heavy, and his lungs burned as if he had been underwater for ages. He gasped, falling onto the cold floor, coughing. The lights flickered around him. The key floated beside him, glowing gently, green as if it were alive. He whispered weakly, Lyra. No answer. Only the low hum of the broken ship. He crawled to the window. Outside, stars filled the black sky. He had no idea how long it had been. Days? Years? Decades. His reflection in the glass showed a man changed. Hair streaked with silver, eyes brighter than before. Something inside him was different. The key's power had touched him. He looked at it again. You brought me back. Didn't you? The key pulsed softly like a yes. Meanwhile, far across the galaxy, peace had come to the worlds of the Varan Empire. After Lyra's disappearance, the Empire had fallen into chaos. But then a signal appeared, a message she had sent before the final battle. The universe does not belong to those who control it. It belongs to those who care for it. Her words spread across the stars. Armies laid down their weapons. The war fleets disbanded. The Empire began to rebuild, not with fear, but with hope. Lyra became a legend, a symbol of peace, but in her heart, wherever it existed, one name still echoed. Eli Carter. Back on the moon, Eli repaired the ship piece by piece. He had no map, no food, no idea where to go, but he had purpose. He rewired circuits using scraps, used melted ice for water, and talked to the stars when he felt alone. Guess it's just me again, he said one night. A poor human, and a lot of empty sky. But deep inside, he felt her presence, faint, like a dream that never fully faded. Sometimes when he closed his eyes, he heard her voice. Eli, You are never alone. One evening, as he worked on the console, the key began to vibrate. Its light grew stronger, spreading across the cockpit like liquid silver. Not again, he muttered, stepping back. The air shimmered. Space itself rippled like water. And from the center of that light, a shape began to form. A figure of light, soft and graceful, with white hair that flowed like mist. Eli's breath caught in his throat. Lyra? The figure stepped forward. Her eyes, silver and bright, looked exactly as he remembered. Yes, Eli, she said, her voice trembling. It's me. He couldn't believe it. He touched her hand and felt warmth. You're real? She smiled softly. Not as before. My body is gone, but my energy survived within the stars. The quantum key carried part of me, and part of you. He stared at her in awe. Part of me? She nodded. When you gave your life to save me, our minds merged. You became part of my essence, and I of yours. Eli's heart pounded. So what now? Do we just live as ghosts? Lyra stepped closer. No. We live as what we've become. Something new. She touched the key and the light spread around them. Outside, the stars flared brighter. The wrecked ship lifted from the ground, floating slowly upward. Below, the dust began to swirl, forming patterns, symbols of both human and alien origin, merging into one. The universe watched you, Eli Carter, Lyra said softly. A human who had nothing yet gave everything. Your courage changed worlds, he laughed weakly. I just followed my heart, she smiled. And that is why you succeeded where empires failed. As they rose higher, the stars bent around them. Space shimmered, opening into a new path. A corridor of light leading toward the heart of the galaxy. Eli looked out the window. Where are we going? Home, Lyra said. To a place where hearts, not bloodlines, shape the future. He hesitated. Home. I don't think I ever had one. Lyra placed her hand over his heart. You do now. The ship glowed brighter, transforming as alien metal fused with human steel. The old junk shuttle became something new. Smooth, silver, alive. It hummed with both their energy, human hope and alien light, fused forever. Centuries later, the story of the human who changed, the stars was told across thousands of worlds. Children in distant colonies learned of a poor scavenger who found a lost alien, princess, and showed her the meaning of love. They said he taught the galaxy, that even the smallest heart could move the stars. And every year, when the twin lights of a certain distant system crossed in the night sky, travelers would whisper, There, that's where the human and the alien live. In the ship of light. In a quiet corner of the cosmos, aboard that glowing vessel, two figures stood side by side, one human, one made of starlight, looking at a garden of newborn planets. Eli smiled softly. We did it, Lyra. We changed something. She looked at him with gentle eyes. No, Eli, you changed everything. He took her hand, and together they watched the first sunrise of a new world. The light touched their faces, one warm, one glowing, and for a moment it was impossible to tell where the human ended and the alien began. He was just a poor human, she whispered, but he changed my entire universe. And among the stars their ship drifted on, a symbol of love that even time could not destroy.